Thank you, Chairman Wicker, Senator Reed. Thank all three of you for being here. I've stayed the whole time because this is what, frankly, this is why I'm here, is what you're talking about. I'm not sure of all the solutions, but so far I like what I'm hearing. And this is exactly why, by the way, Senator Kelly and I stood up the Defense Modernization Caucus. So thank you for your comments today. I'm going to go a completely different direction than I was planning to, or that my staff was planning me to. I was thinking back to my first days on SASC in the Senate, and it was at that time when DoD was looking for somebody to win a contract for computing, cloud computing, and the JEDI. Remember the JEDI competition, and I remember they chose Microsoft and Amazon early 2019 to compete. Late in 2019, they awarded Microsoft, and what resulted in that was, of course, an immediate protest. And then they went on a while longer, flipped the script, chose Amazon, then Microsoft protested, and then NSA took over. And anyway, about 5 years later, we finally have multiple companies doing cloud computing. I was very frustrated by the ability for a company who didn't win a contract, regardless who the company is, to protest the company who did and then hold up, modernization by 5 years. Now, a lot of things were happening in the meantime. But then we fast forward to today, where we read about now what I believe to be the most innovative agency within the DoD, the Space Development Agency, which has been under attack since the day we stood it up by swamp creatures and legacy space operators and legacy acquisition and procurement officials and a protest that I almost guarantee you will slow up the proliferated war fighter space architecture, which is the worst thing that could happen. And it's even led, as you know, to a PIA claim that looks more political than it does real to me, quite honestly. And I would just like each of your comments or opinions about the protest regime and whether there's more that can be done there. Don't get me wrong, competition requires the ability to challenge, but it shouldn't provide the opportunity to make the country less safe. And I'll just start with you, Mr. Gertz, and we can just go down the line.
Yes, sir. I do agree there needs to be an avenue, but that avenue over time has gotten abused. One thing I suggested early on was you get one bite at the apple. You could protest the GAO or Court of Federal Claims. You couldn't protest twice. I also think there should be some look at behavior over time and some disincentive for what I would call chronic protesting, particularly by incumbents.
I agree. It's also been abused. I think it's a hard problem for the reasons that you've already articulated. But I think one way that we could really buy this down is by doing more bake-offs, more things in parallel, getting more things fielded, because anyone can win a fiction writing contest. It has no correlation to your ability to perform. But when we have the satellites in space, we'll be able to tell one way or another. Maybe we'll decide, actually, we should have 50-50. Maybe we should have multiple performers. Maybe we're making bad decisions because we're evaluating you through a fiction writing contest instead of empirically in the field.
I thought, by the way, the examples one of you used a little bit ago of Elon Musk learning more from blowing up. I was at the Starship launch with President Trump, and it was very confusing for several of the business people there to hear Elon speak so positively about the booster that didn't come back and they had to put in the water. And but we learned so much, That's a tough culture in our business and in government, but it's one we have to foster. Mr. Diller, your comments on the protest.
Sure, it gets to that risk. I went to the French test pilot school, and the speed that my 5-year-old was able to learn French compared to me, he didn't care, right? He did not have this risk-averse culture. It's the same with Elon Musk. When we look at these protests, if we take this approach our chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff used this phrase, acquire to require. And it's exactly what Sean was saying. How do we slowly build trust? Because this is at the core, it's a trust issue. If we actually work together at the beginning in ways that OTs allow us to, that trust can be built.